What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog. Got another fun video for you guys today. This one, we're going to be looking at a Mardu Midrange, kind of a control deck. And just to go over the deck real quick, going to be starting off with a couple Agonize and Remorse. Since we are kind of a late game strategy, we do want to have some hand disruption. For Mire Tritons, the life gain, and having a 2/1 death touching body. The death touch can slow down our opponent's attacks and kind of plays into our game where we want to kind of stall out the game a little bit. Play out our sweepers and then play our big creatures to close out the game. Speaking of big creatures, we've got Kroxa, another 2-drop, but then it's sacrificed until we can cast it for its escape cost later on. But when it enters the battlefield, we do force our opponent to discard and potentially lose 3 life, depending on what they have to discard. We have 2 Banishing Lights, just as a nice utility removal spell. 2 Elspeth's Nightmare. Just want to play around with it. The ability to destroy lower curve creatures, as well as a little bit of hand disruption, and being able to exile the opponent's graveyard for any escape mechanics or jumpstart, etc. Just the versatility, I think, is worth playing around with. Murderous Rider, just a powerful removal spell, and since we are creature light, it does give us a 2/3 life linking body. 3 Timuret Calls the Dead, another way for us to kind of put some bodies onto the board and fill up our graveyard at the same time for Kroxa on the escape cost. We have 2 Mortifies, just for some versatile removal. 2 Elspeth, just another way to put some bodies on the board and buff the creatures that we do have to help us kind of close out the game before our opponent has any way to recover or answer what we're trying to do. And for our removal, we got a 2 Shatter the Sky. Running this instead of Kaya's Wrath, just because we are a 3-color deck, and so having both 2 white and 2 black in the same spell can be a little tricky sometimes. So just having 2 white instead of having 2 and 2 seems like it's going to be a little bit more consistent to cast, especially on curve when we need it against those really aggressive matchups. 2 Eat to Extinction for the exile removal and also ways to deal with planeswalkers. 2 Storm's Wrath does hit creatures and planeswalkers, so it's a very versatile removal spell. And we also have 2 Tectonic Giants. It does give us a creature to help us close out the game, as when it attacks, we can choose to either deal 3 damage to the opponent, or we can exile cards from our library, choosing one of them, and then we have until our next turn to play that card. So either extra reach or some card advantage, so either way, this card fits really well into the deck. 2 Elspeth Conquers Death, another way for us to answer bigger casting cost spells, as we can exile anything that's CMC 3 or greater. And then it does make it harder for our opponent to answer what we're doing on the following turn, because non-creature spells cost 2 more to cast. And then we can get one of our few creatures or planeswalkers back onto the battlefield with the 3rd Saga. So running so few creatures and planeswalkers does give us another way to kind of get them back once our opponent has found an answer for them. And finishing out our top end, we have 2 Sarkhan. Just be able to make a 4/4 flying body and then turn him and potentially Elspeth, if we have Elspeth out at the same time, into 4/4 flying attackers. Can help us close out the game really quickly after we've decimated our opponent's board, hopefully. Alright, going over the mana base real quick. We have 1 of each of the basic lands here. 1 plains, 1 swamp, 1 mountain. We're in all 4 Godless Shrines, 3 Temple of Silence, all 4 Blood Crypts, 3 Temple of Malice, all 4 Sacred Foundries, and going to be running 4 Temple of Triumphs. So it's a lot of tap lands, but scrying with such of a mid-range deck is perfectly fine, as we're playing a little bit slower game anyways. And our sideboard, one with kind of a toolbox package here. So we got 1 Devout Decree, some more hand disruption with Agonize and Remorse, 2 Noxious Grasp, because of all the powerful green creatures running around and planeswalkers, 1 Fry, 1 Angrass Rampage, Just kind of a versatile removal spell, especially something that can kind of get around hexproof, or things like a Dream Trawler. One Sorcerer's Spyglass. Obviously, Planeswalkers are a pretty good target for this, and even things like Witch's Oven can be quite nice to shut down with this card. One more Banishing Light, just because it is such a powerful removal spell at 3 mana. Can answer whatever it is your opponent is doing. Another Murderous Rider. One more Eat to Extinction if we need some more exile removal. And for those really aggressive decks, we got 2 more Ritual of Soot. And then we are running 1 Kaya's Wrath out of the sideboard just to answer any kind of spell that, creatures that when our opponent can go a little bit bigger than, say, a Ritual of Soot and things like that, but we still need to answer multiple creatures at a time. And then a versatile removal spell here in Perforos's Intervention, where we can deal twice X damage to a creature or a planeswalker. And if we've already got the board clear, or if we just need a way to close out the game, we can make an X1 elemental creature with trample and haste to kind of help us close out the game. And yeah, so that's pretty much where we're at with the deck so far. Let's go ahead and jump into some best of 3 matches and see how we do. Alright, Arena Standard, best of 3, playing some Mardu Midrange. So I do like the versatility that this deck has to offer. White, black, and red have such great removal options, and being able to kind of jam them all together feels pretty good. Alright, here we are up against Superman 83. Alright, we got all of our colors for the mana. We have the sweepers, the spot removal, and we have Planeswalker. So hand seems fine. And I'll lead on our temple here. Get a little scry action. Play our Blood Crypt tapped, and then see where we're at. Perfect. Got a turn 3 play. Just looking for another white source here. I think we're going to bin this and just look for more white so we can potentially cast our Shatter or Elspeth on curve. Okay, our opponent on black-red, but not doing anything. That works just fine for us. Alright, so we just got a black-red aggro deck. Black Lance Paragon, Knight of Ebon Legion, Embercleave, all that usual stuff. The Rotting Venusaur. Probably something we're going to want to deal with. So I think we're going to hold up the Murderous Rider. After they discard, we'll go ahead and get rid of it. Do take 2, but it's a lot better than 7. And it puts them that much further away from an Embercleave. So they do get rid of a Knight of Ebon Legion. Jewel Bit, that's fine. Our hand's pretty powerful here. Our opponent scoops it up. So yeah, we had plenty of answers for all the things their deck is trying to do. So Storm's Wrath does not answer the Regisaur, but Ritual of Soot does just fine. We are going to want some instant speed removal. So I don't think we want Banishing Light. And Agonizing Remorse is pretty mediocre as well. We could play Devout Decree just for the exile, although playing at sorcery speed against Embercleave doesn't feel very good. So we'll get our instant speed removal in. And we still have 2 slots open. So let's go ahead and bring in the Devout Decree. And maybe we do want another Banishing Light. We can always put that on in Embercleave. After we've killed all their creatures. Let's see if there's anything that's bad here or else that we want to take out. Seems fine. Elspeth still hits a lot of their creatures, especially Knight of Ebon Legion before it can grow. Yeah, I think we're fine here. See our opponent having a mulligan there doesn't really help their cause. Okay, we got 2 sweepers, that's pretty good. Temples can help us scry into some more removal. And I'm sure their opponent brought in all their hand disruption. Running main deck drill bit, so I'm sure they've got some duress and things like that coming out of the sideboard here. Okay. Yeah, I think we just want all of our sweepers and removal. And once we've cleared the board, then we'll worry about finding planeswalkers and creatures to close out the game on our end. We're just trying to survive until then. Okay, so Ritual Soot goes. Obviously we need to survive until then. These Fervent Champions are going to put in quite a bit of work. So they know about the one Shadow of the Sky. They don't know about the second. Okay, looks like our opponent's going to hit us for 8, at least 8 next turn. At least force them to get rid of one of their cards. There's an Embercleave, so they could just have another one in hand. I don't think that's what we're looking for here. Got a Mire Triton or a Timuret Calls the Dead to help us gain a little bit of life back. And we could just have Embercleave here. Yep. Okay. Our opponent just kind of had everything they needed, and we were just a little slow with our removal. Red-black doing red-black things. Alright. Any other changes we want to make? Just drawing into our removal sooner would be a lot helpful. So this time we're on the draw, so that'll obviously give us more of an advantage just by virtue of our opponent not being able to go first. Them getting double Fervent Champion. Just such a powerful move, and we just were a little slow with our removal. So we had the sweepers in hand, just weren't able to live long enough to get to them. Pretty quick work by us in game 1, and pretty quick work by them in game 2. So we'll see how game 3 goes. Right, we've got our lands. Missing a second white source for Shadow of the Sky, but we do have the Mortify. So yeah, hand seems fine. Let's get these shock lands intact. Alright, another Fervent Champion lead. We want to play this. Don't need more lands at this point, just need removal. Right, our opponent missing black, it looks like. Fervent Champions once again putting in work. Triple Fervent Champion. That's brutal. Hitting for 6 a turn. So we can mortify one of them, and then shatter the sky next turn. Except, no, we're missing our black source, so that was, yeah, that was a mistake. Yep, it's too powerful to start from our opponent here, and that little bit of misplay. That's what aggro does. If you make any sort of a misplay or stumble whatsoever in the early game, they will just eat you alive. So, yeah, let's jump into the next one. And if we got the removal, there's a pretty good chance that they would have done enough damage that they would have been able to recover just fine. So pretty unfortunate there. But yeah, I mean, Rakdos aggro is one of the better decks in Standard. So no shame in losing to them. Of course, we are an unranked play. And it definitely is one of my pet peeves when people play top tier decks in unranked play. Like, you know, you already know you're playing a good deck, you know, just play it in ranked with other good decks. People want to play on a budget, so to speak, or just try out different deck ideas unranked is a fun way to do that, and then when you run into tier 1 decks, it just kind of wrecks your day a little bit. You know, Magic is supposed to be about fun. I haven't been playing that much ranked lately because it's not really in me to be all that competitive when it comes to this. I think deck building is my favorite part. Draw. Okay, no idea what happened there. Second time I've seen that in the last few days. Alright, see if we can get into one more match for you guys. Against Vidown. Classic Teferi avatar. Okay, we have all three of our colors. A couple temples and help us scry for additional lands. Okay, see what our opponent is up to. We already have one in hand, so I don't think we want the second one just yet. Cauldron Slayer, everybody's favorite card. I think we'd rather have that a little bit later on. I think we're just looking for more removal here. Okay. Can always play this Elspeth's Nightmare. Get rid of the cat for now. And the next one will be able to peek at their hand. Opponent. Okay, just all mono black Devotion. With a bunch of lands and a Gary. Since they don't have any removal, we'll go ahead and get our giant down. They're still a turn away from getting their Gary online. Fenlurker. We'll pitch the Elspeths here. And we'll draw a Sark. Okay. So if we play Croxa, then they just discard one of their lands. I think we just want to do the reach here. So we'll attack in, get the trigger, hit them for 3, and see if they want to block. Nope, they want the Devotion. Life total is healthy enough. I think we'll shock in so we get our Sarkhan down. And now we got a 4/4. If they tap out to play Gary, then they can't buff their Fenlurker. I definitely think we want to answer this IR. Okay, we can plus Sarkhan and get in for a whole bunch of damage. Go for the 3, just try to put them away as quickly as possible before they have any chance to recover, since they do have a lot of life gain upside. And now we'll Croxa. Just get in for a little extra damage, and we're in a pretty good spot here. Run it down to 2, and they have a Planeswalker and 2 creatures to answer. There goes Gary. Puts them back to 4, but that is not enough. Yep. So pretty rough start from our opponent. Just a few too many lands. So Storm's Wrath seems like it answers everything that they're doing on their side. So does Shatter the Sky. Mono black, they can't answer enchantments, so that's fine. Probably don't need those. So So bring another Banishing Light and then the Devout Decree. These are Ritual of Sits are tempting. Can maybe bring them in for Elspeth's Nightmare since we can answer multiple creatures with our ritual. And what else do we want here? Do we want another Murderous Rider or a Kaya's Wrath or Eat to Extinction? I think this is probably fine as it is. I think being able to get our creatures back with Elspeth Conquers Death is fine, and it can answer Ayara or Gary, things like that. Okay, our opponent on the play here will give them pretty big advantage with their aggressive style deck. One land, we cannot keep that. Alright, we do have our 3 lands here. I think we'll have to pitch the Elspeth Conquers Death and just keep our lower curve online. Turn 1, Valmire. Okay. So we'll scry, look for more removal, more lands. I don't think we want to get our creatures down on curve this time. So I think we want to guard our life total as much as possible, so I think we'll just play this tapped and then see where we're at next turn. Spyglass, okay. Naming Sarkhan. I mean, we have 2 of them, but that's not our, not necessarily our featured win condition. So I'm not too worried about it. And we do have a way to remove the Spyglass with this Banishing Light if we want. Opponent has Murderous Riders and things like that. Cling to dust. Okay. Interesting removal spell. I think we'll go ahead and exile one of them. We do have 1 in hand, so even if they exiled this other Cruxa, I think we're okay. And kind of hang on to this Banishing Light if we do want to use it on the Spyglass. Okay, so they use a Rider on our token, that's fine. Still continue getting these Cruxes down, forcing their discards. Do we want to Banishing Light the Spyglass so we can play Sarkhan next turn? Opponent with just 2 cards in hand. I think we'll try that. Since they were pretty eager to answer the Sarkhan earlier. If they do kill it, then it's just more graveyard fuel to escape one of our creatures or planeswalkers. We also have the Murderous Rider in hand for whatever else. IR, definitely want to answer that at some point. Don't think we want another Elspeth, just more spot removal and sweepers. We're fine getting our Sarkhan online. Behold! Looks like we're in a decent spot here. If we can untap, then this Murderous Rider can kill Ayara or whatever else they spell that they cast. The Elder spell. Wow, haven't seen that in a while. Okay, so I have to answer our 4/4 dragon here. Going in with Death Touch. Nope. Maybe saving it for IR. Okay. Our opponent running on empty. I think we'll try to save the Elspeth as a way to close out the game. So let's get in with our dragon. Let's go ahead and escape our Croxa. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, maybe we'll exile the Elspeth while we're at it. And save the other Croxa. No reason not to play this. Actually, I'm scared of IR now. Really minimize the amount of value they can get off of it. Okay. Opponent at 17, but we are down to 8, so we have to be a little careful. We are in top deck mode, but we have the Murderous Rider on an adventure we can play next turn, if nothing else. And we have another Croxa to potentially escape once we get a few more cards in our graveyard. Our opponent looking through their graveyard. Cling the Dusts. We'll play it safe. Just attack with a flyer, since we're still not in a good position to escape Croxa. All we have to do is jump block with the Thalmire Knight. Erebos is a good one. Storm's Wrath. That's tempting. Storm's Wrath, and we only get in for 6. Do force the discard. I think we're just going to attack all 3 of these guys and save our Croxa for either the next turn or the turn after. Okay, then you take the jump block. They want to pay the life here, that's fine with me. And we'll hang on to our Storm's Wrath in case our opponent is able to go off on us. Do need to keep an eye on this Erebos. IR. It's a pretty decent draw, but see if it's enough. Another Spyglass. I'm not really sure what they name with this one. Not really too worried about Sarkhan at this point. Not why I'm here at this point. Just trying to ride Croxa to victory. So we got in 4. They want to chump block. Well, they can't because we have lethal. So yeah, let's just attack all. Witch's Oven. Wow. They prioritize the Spyglass. Okay. 6. Yeah, no reason to play these sweepers. We're in a pretty commanding spot here. It's up to our opponent to answer. Okay. Did they just miss lethal there? Well, so they had haste, and then I believe Erebos could have attacked as well because of devotion, but hey, it worked out for us. So there you see Mardu Midrange put in some work against some pretty aggressive decks there. Hope you guys enjoyed the matches and give this deck a try. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys next one. All right, take care.